Hello, you wonderful people. In this lesson, we're going to look at some different ways that British people commonly say, I'm angry. Now, there's nothing wrong with saying the words, I'm angry. The only problem comes when you say it over and over again. It can just sound a bit boring. I'm angry. I'm really angry. You know, I'm really, really angry. I was angry this morning. I'm angry right now, and I'm going to be angry later on. Angry, angry, angry. And even if you throw in words like so, very, and really, it doesn't really spice it up. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to learn 27 common ways that British people say, I'm angry, without using that word angry. And bear in mind, this is going to be the polite version. Most of the examples on this list won't be swear words, although there will be one, and I will give you fair warning before I use it. So you might want to put your fingers in your ears at that point. But please do let me know in the comments below which one of these examples was new for you. Which one are you going to use in the future? Hopefully not just the swear word. And I have to say, probably the last one is my favourite. Hello, you wonderful people. Welcome to English Right Now. My name is Roy, and I'm your British English teacher. And on this channel, we learn everything connected with British English and a modern British RP accent. And today, we're looking at some real expressions that British people use that mean I'm angry without ever using that word. Well, possibly as the definition. First up, we have the adjective mad. Mad means angry. So to make it very angry, we would add words like really and very. I was really mad at him for what he said. Don't know what he said, but it was something bad. Cross is much more common in the UK, and it's a really kind of British way of saying mad. It has exactly the same meaning of mad, so you can add really or very to make it stronger. Gosh, you must have been really cross after he said that. Moving up the levels of anger, we have livid. Livid is slightly more formal, but it just means really, really angry. It's similar in meaning to furious. Livid is probably slightly less common than furious. I was furious when he parked in front of my drive. This is one thing that really can irritate British people. If you do park in front of somebody's drive in the UK, do expect them to be furious. And an offshoot of furious is infuriated, which comes from that verb to infuriate someone. Oh gosh, I was infuriated. This one is slightly more formal than furious. A little less common and a little more formal is irate. I was irate yesterday. This is towards the top level of being very, very angry. Fuming is slightly more informal. Gosh, I was fuming yesterday. Somebody ate my sandwich. That sounds like a very British problem. Now, fuming is slightly more informal, and it kind of conjures up this image of smoke coming out of your ears because you're that angry. And in fact, that kind of reminds me of, I was so angry, I had smoke coming out of my ears. I love this expression. That's how angry I was. I had smoke coming out of my ears. It reminds me of some cartoons I watched when I was a kid, when you just saw these people go, but you can say, I was so angry, I had smoke coming out of my ears. Hopefully not literally, or you should probably go to the doctor. And do let me know in the comments which one of these are new for you, which ones are your new favourites, and which ones are you going to use going forward. Incensed is slightly more on the formal scale. There are more natural ways like furious and fuming, but incensed is possibly more common in literature. You're going to read it in a book, but people do still use it. Seething has this idea of a kind of longer feeling of anger and rage, like it's just burning inside you.
I am seething. I can't believe he said that.
Wow. Enraged is also quite formal. Possibly furious would be more natural, but enraged again does get used. And it also reminds me of another expression, raging. So informally, some people will say, I was raging after what he said. Now, this is more common in certain regions of the UK than others. It may be more regional, but it does get used and it does seem to be spreading. Rile someone up means to really anger them or annoy them to the point where they're going to explode. The fact that he put milk in the tea first, oh, it just riles me up. I cannot believe that. You can also use it in the form, I just got so riled up when he put milk in my tea first. Please put milk in the tea afterwards if you're making a cup of tea in a cup. Go berserk is an expression that I absolutely love, and it actually dates back to the Viking era. There was a type of warrior called a berserker, and this expression comes from there. To go berserk implies you get so angry it's almost to the point of insanity. Oh my goodness, he went berserk. An alternative to go berserk is go ballistic. Rub someone up the wrong way is slightly weaker, but it means to make somebody really kind of angry. So sometimes when two people live together, certain actions rub people up the wrong way. I used to live with a guy who used to put his trainers, after going running, in the fridge. It was quite disgusting. It really rubbed me up the wrong way. I got really, really angry about it, and I just said, look, you can't do that. So he stopped doing it. He started putting them in the freezer instead, which was equally disgusting, and it used to wind me up. Wind me up has a similar meaning to rub someone up the wrong way. This idea of you're kind of winding a coil up to the point where the tension builds and it's going to explode. Oh God, it just wound me up. To wind someone up. So you could wind someone up, or you could be wound up. If you have reached your limit, you could say, I'm at the end of my tether. I am at the end of my tether with him. I can't talk to him anymore. If you're at the end of your tether, it basically means you've reached the limit. And do remember to let me know your new favorites. Which ones are you going to start using? These are brilliant alternatives that mean you don't have to say, I'm angry anymore. Hopping mad is a little bit less common than it used to be, but it still does get used. And it means you're just incredibly angry. Oh my goodness, he was hopping mad. I mean, it's kind of a bit funny. It's kind of a bit humorous, this idea of somebody jumping around with anger. But this one basically means they're so angry, they just can't control themselves. If somebody is on the warpath, you may want to avoid them because basically they're going around, they're in a very bad mood, they're very, very angry, and they're probably going to explode at anybody that does anything remotely wrong or maybe just even gets in their way. Because being on the warpath doesn't limit it to the person who was the original target. It's just a general sense of likely to explode. Similar to at the end of my tether is the last straw or the final straw. This is something we often say when we get to the point where we cannot tolerate anymore. When he put the shoes in the freezer, it was the final straw or the last straw. Both work, both are fine, but it just means that that is the point that I have reached, that there is no more that I can take without absolutely exploding. Slightly old-fashioned, but one I absolutely love, and you will still hear among a certain generation, is to get one's goat. If something gets your goat, it just makes you really, really mad. The fact they've changed the time of my favourite TV programme really gets my goat. So if something gets your goat, it makes you very, very angry. And this is one that you do still hear a lot, but it is less common than it once was. If we're talking about a crowd or group of people who are very, very angry, you could say they are baying for blood. If a crowd are baying for blood, it means they are very, very angry and they want some kind of justice or punishment. So maybe there's a political scandal and the politician is coming to town and a group or a crowd are basically really angry. They're protesting. They've got signs up. They're throwing things. You could say, wow, they are baying for blood. And when we use this is quite often disapproving of the crowd's behavior. So we say, my goodness, they're baying for blood. This is completely unfair, but not exclusively. If you do get angry and you suddenly explode into anger, you could say you lose your temper. Please don't lose your temper with me. We need to have a calm conversation. An alternative to this is lose one's rag. This has exactly the same meaning, it's just a bit more informal. If you go through the roof, this means you have basically exploded to the point where you became like a rocket. That's the kind of image it conjures up, and you've just exploded to the point you've flown through the roof. He went through the roof when he found out who his son was dating. An alternative to go through the roof is hit the roof. Maybe the rocket's not as highly powered, I don't know, but hit the roof has the same meaning as go through the roof. Woo! He hit the roof when he found out. And as I was editing this video, I thought of a couple more. So the first bonus one is blow one's top. It just means you just explode in anger. Whew, she blew her top when she found out. An alternative to this, which doesn't get used as much, is to blow a fuse. So if you don't blow your top, you could always blow a fuse. And a similar one that I remembered is blow a gasket. Chill out, calm down, you'll blow a gasket. Has the same meaning as blow a fuse. In fact, that's 3 bonuses out of 1 bonus, so we've definitely gone over 27. I suppose if I'd done less than 27 and said, here are 27 examples, you might have been quite cross, but I suppose you can't be furious if I do more than 27, can you? If something consistently annoys you to the point where you get so angry, you could say it drives me up the wall. People jumping the queue drives me up the wall. So this is behaviour that annoys me every single time. And that counts for most British people as well. Most British people will be seething if they see somebody jump the queue. Incandescent with rage is something I absolutely love. But this is really quite formal, and it's probably more common in books. So if I was really angry and I said, oh my goodness, I'm incandescent with rage, it may sound a little bit out of place. But this is something we can say to really exaggerate. Maybe it's something we can say when we're talking a little bit more formally. or telling a story. Well, my friend the other day was incandescent with rage. Like I say, it's a bit more formal and more common in books, but I absolutely love it. Before we move on to the next few, please do remember to let me know your favorites in the comments below. Let me know which ones you're going to start using. And now here's time for a swear word. Now, there are a lot of swear words that we could have put on this list. I'm sure you can use your imagination, but there is one we really need to talk about, and that is this word, pissed off. It's not the strongest word in the world, but it is a swear word, so be careful. However, you will hear British people use pissed off quite a lot. Pissed off means really, really angry, and to piss somebody off means to really, really make somebody angry, to infuriate them. Now, why do we talk about this word? Well, I don't usually teach swear words, but this one's really, really important because there is a fundamental difference between British English and American English. Pissed off in British English means annoyed. However, in American English, they just say they are pissed. Why is that a problem? Well, if you say you're pissed in the UK, it means that you're drunk. I was so pissed when I left the pub, meaning drunk, but when I got home, my mum was really pissed off, angry. Don't mix those two up, but in American English, they're more likely to use pissed to mean angry. Now, there are a lot of different swear words we could use here, but let's save them for another day.
And a kid-friendly alternative to pissed off could be peed off. It's got the same idea. Pee and piss are the same things, but we say a child pees or a child wheezes. I was really peed off last night. I can't believe my team lost. It's a polite alternative, a bit more kid-friendly.
Ticked off is just a politer version of pissed off. If you say, oh goodness me, I was so ticked off last night, everybody will know you're just avoiding saying a swear word, but they'll know exactly what you mean. And this one is one that you could use in any situation as an alternative to swearing. And to rant and rave is one of my personal favourite ones, and it means to complain or shout really, really angrily, often with a kind of loud voice, a booming voice, often quite forcefully, and often at great length. In other words, it just goes on for a very long time. He was so unhappy at the restaurant, he just started ranting and raving about the terrible service. In other words, it just goes on and on and on, and you're showing that you're really, really angry by complaining loudly for a long period of time. I really love this one, but it's something I try not to do. Let me know in the comments below which one of these was your favourite. Did you enjoy rant and rave? Are you going to start saying incandescent with rage? Practice these over and over again. Do let me know your favourite. And if you do want to learn some polite alternatives to some very bad words, if you want to learn some polite ways to tell people to go away without actually swearing, check out this video. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next lesson.